Hey guys, tonight we're doing something a little different. You're not a knight, you're not a noble, you're not even a squire. You're a foot soldier, poorly paid, poorly fed, and right now, very poorly timed. Because you're in the middle of a military campaign somewhere in damp, cold, medieval France, or maybe across the dusty roads of Spain. And your guts have just declared war on you. It starts with a little bubbling, a churn. Maybe you think it's just nerves. You've only been marching for a mile or so, and the commander's already barking for speed. Armor clinks around you, boots squelch in the muddy path, and someone to your left is loudly retelling a joke that wasn't funny the first time. But all you can think about is that unpleasant twist in your belly. You try to walk it off. But medieval warfare doesn't wait. There are no restroom breaks. There's no "can we stop the invasion for a moment, my lord?" No, the expectation is that you will march in formation for as long as it takes. Maybe 12 miles today, maybe more. You're wearing worn wool leggings, a linen shirt that hasn't been washed in weeks, and a leather jerkin that's already sticking uncomfortably to your back, and now there it is. The cramp dot, that low, urgent pulse in your lower abdomen. You know what it means. You clench, you grit your teeth. You pray to a saint whose name you don't even remember properly. But there's no escape. You are now a soldier with diarrhea. And you probably won't survive this, so before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you're listening from anywhere unusual, let me know in the comments what country, what city, and what time is it where you are. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You weren't always like this. Last night, you were laughing over half-stale bread and turnip stew. Maybe someone even found a jug of cheap wine. But you made the fatal mistake too, actually. First, you dipped your crust in the stew that had been sitting out for just a bit too long. And second, when your water skin ran out, you drank straight from that mossy stream beside the mule cart. You saw the dead frog. You drank anyway. Historians still argue whether medieval soldiers understood the concept of waterborne illness. Some claim they just assumed stomach problems were caused by imbalanced humors or even divine punishment. Others point out that veteran troops often preferred ale or wine to water, not because they were trying to party, but because fermented drinks were statistically safer than the stuff flowing in open ditches. You didn't know any of that. You were just thirsty now, your bellies lurching with every step. There's no stopping. The march must go on, and you're surrounded. Soldiers to your left, right, and front. You can't even step off the road without someone shouting that. You've broken formation, so you try to focus on anything else. The jingling harnesses on the horses ahead, the way the sunlight hits the distant hilltops, the smell of morning dew mixed with, well, okay, that smell is not dew. That's probably you. One of the quirks of medieval armies is that most of the grunts didn't wear full armor. That was expensive. Instead, you've got a helmet, maybe a battered shield, and those thick wool trousers that are starting to feel suspiciously damp. You hope it's just sweat. Spoiler, it's not. And yet, despite the raw discomfort, the burning embarrassment, the panic rising in your throat with every bubbling churn of your gut, to keep marching because you have no choice. You're poor. You're probably conscripted. You haven't been paid in weeks, and if you turn back, you might be branded a deserter. Or worse, hung from the next tree with a sign that says coward. It's strange what you notice in moments like this. the birdsong, the crunch of dry leaves, that one night's horse that keeps passing gas rhythmically like it's in competition with your own innards. You almost laugh, almost, but then another spasm. This one sharped out, you break formation. You don't care anymore. You make a panicked lurch toward the tree line, shoving aside a startled companion and dodging a swinging cook's ladle. A few men laugh, a few gag. One poor soul follows you instinctively, thinking you're responding to a threat. You don't make it far. The moment you duck behind a bush and fumble with your belt ties, it's already too late. And in this exact moment, you learn a harsh truth. There is no dignity in diarrhea, and even less in medieval trousers. But hey, silver lining. You find a dry patch of moss. You call that a win. As you squat in shame and agony, you consider your choices. You could go back and pretend nothing happened. Just waddle into formation, act casual. You could hide here for a while and hope the column moves on. But if you fall too far behind, they might not wait. Or worse, they might come looking. You wipe with a leaf, a big one. You hope it's not poison ivy. It's not, but it is something called dog's mercury, which causes minor rashes and an upset stomach. So now you've got more cramps to look forward to. Back on the road, you shuffle into line, red-faced and dripping. No one speaks to you, but the silence says everything. They know, and just like that, you're no longer just that guy from the village with the nice singing voice. You're diarrhea guy now, forever back in line. Your every step, squlch. It's hard to tell how much is sweat, how much is leakage, and how much is simply the fabric clanging in betrayal. The sun climbs higher, the march continues, and your stomach gives a low, angry growl like some medieval beast protesting its conditions. Which, fair enough. You did eat 2-day-old stew and then drank something you found in a ditch, and you're still not allowed to stop, see? Medieval commanders didn't just dislike delays, they despised them. Delays meant enemy scouts could catch up, meant supply. Lines got tangled, meant the next camp wasn't reached before nightfall. And nightfall, out here, means wolves. Not poetic, ones real ones, hungry, with excellent noses. So when your bowels turn against you, they don't exactly hand out bathroom passes. The man beside you, you think, grunts softly and mutters, again, not cruelly, just tired. Everyone's tired. The pace hasn't slowed. You think about responding, but another wave hits. You double over slightly, pretending to inspect your bootlace. It fools no one. The funny part, you're not even the only one. Not really. There are others. You spot a young lad a few rows ahead, just barely 17, limping with that unmistakable shuffle of someone clenching with every ounce of their will. You see another soldier quietly toss his underclothes into the bushes at a rest stop. Historians still argue whether most soldiers knew what caused the endless outbreaks of camp fever or flux. Some records suggest they blamed foul air miasmas, while others genuinely thought sin had loosened their innards. A few just blamed bad luck. And that one priest trailing your unit, he keeps saying it's because someone ate meat on a fasting day. Spoiler, it was probably him. But none of that helps you now. What's worse is that you're constantly braced. Every step is a gamble. The terrain isn't even. One misstep and the wrong jostle can make everything much worse. It's like walking while carrying a full bowl of soup, except the soup is inside you and the bowl is your dignity. And then no. The insult of it all, you reach a stream. Clear, cold, beautiful, flowing right across the road like a heavenly invitation. Men drop to their knees to drink, to splash their faces. The lucky ones refill their flasks. You eye it with the fury of betrayal. That's what got you into this mess. That innocent trickle is the reason your insides feel like they're being wrung out like laundry. Still, you kneel, you can't not. You're dry as parchment. Your tongue feels like it's wearing a wool sock. And when you drink carefully, hesitantly you half expect to be struck down by divine lightning. Nothing happens, yet it's not even noon. That's the other awful truth. You've got hours more of this, maybe days. The last village was yesterday. The next camp isn't for another 15 miles. You consider faking a wound, twisting your ankle, but even that would mean limping along behind everyone else, alone, vulnerable. And if you get caught faking it, public flogging, you've seen it happen. Once to a guy who claimed he had worms. Turned out he did. Still got flogged. You try to distract yourself with the scenery. The countryside isn't bad. Green hills, distant sheep, clouds drifting like lazy thoughts. It should be peaceful, but it's hard to appreciate when every flower reminds you of toilet paper and every chirping bird sounds like mockery. You hear a fart someone else's this time. A moment of silence follows, and then cautious laughter. It breaks the tension. Maybe it's not just you after all. You're not alone. In fact, if anything, you're part of a proud and unfortunate tradition. Diarrhea has taken down armies. Literally, it's said that more soldiers died of dysentery in some medieval campaigns than from swords or arrows. In the Crusades, for example, some chronicles describe entire regiments reduced to crawling skeletons, too weak to lift their weapons. You're just trying not to explode in front of your crush. Yes, your crush. Let's not forget Jezaltul, terrifying with a sword, and currently trudging 3 rows ahead, face unreadable. You're not sure if she knows your name. You do. No, she heard about the bush incident. Someone made a joke about a night's retreat and glanced pointedly your way. You wish you could disappear. Instead, you trudge on. And that's where the real suffering lies. Not in the cramps, or the sweat, or even the humiliation. It's the unrelenting sameness. Step, squeeze, sweat, repeat. You can't sleep it off. You can't lie down and curl up under a blanket and wait for it to pass. You have to walk. You have to function. You're expected to swing a weapon, follow orders, lift heavy things, and through all of it, your body's waging war from the inside out. It's almost poetic. If poetry involved soggy boots and involuntary gas, as the day wears on, you do start to hallucinate a little. You imagine soft things, clean sheets, a bed with no fleas, a place with, dare you even dream it, a wooden toilet with a hole, and privacy, and maybe a little lavender stuffed in the corner. You blink and realize you've started drooling. Someone offers you a piece of bread. You decline like it's poison, which, technically, it might be. And as the sun starts to lower, casting long shadows across the rutted road, you realize something else. You've made it through the worst of the day. You're still miserable. You're still leaking, but you're upright, and in medieval terms, that's practically a victory parade. Of course, there's one more betrayal waiting. Camp is still 2 miles off, and there's no latrine. Just wait until you see what that means. You arrive at camp just as the sky begins to bruise purple, and the air cools enough that the stink rising from your wool trousers becomes undeniable. You try to walk downwind, Of everyone, you fail. There is no downwind in a crowded medieval camp, only shared suffering, and then you see it. The latrine pit. You'd imagined it on the march, like it was some sort of holy place, a quiet, dug-out miracle in the dirt where you might find a sliver of relief. You'd even hoped, for one brief, foolish moment, that maybe there would be a little privacy, a tent flap, a wooden post to lean on, something. But what you find is a trench, a shallow, stinking scar in the ground. No cover, no privacy, just a foul-smelling ditch already flanked by several grunting, squatting men who have given up on any sense of shame. Some groan, one is singing, a few are praying. Someone has clearly missed the hole by a catastrophic margin. This, my friend, is your throne. Historians still debate how organized medieval camps really were. Some argue that seasoned armies maintained strict hygiene zones, with latrines dug downhill and downstream. Others suggest that chaos was the norm, in relieving themselves wherever they could. Disease spreading like gossip in a village square. Judging by the pit in front of you, it's leaning toward chaos. You approach carefully, clutching your gut and your dignity. A few soldiers nod in sympathy. They know the walk, that bow-legged shuffle that says, "Don't talk to me, don't look at me, just let me get this over with." You choose a spot. You squat, and the moment your body relaxes, it's like the gates of hell open. It's not just noise, it's a soundscape, a full-bodied performance your insides have composed for the world. Somewhere nearby, someone mutters, "Dear God." You stare at the ground, wishing you could sink into it. You're still there 10 minutes later, sweating in the cool evening air, knees shaking, forehead damp. You've lost all sense of time. All thoughts of battle or honor or duty have been replaced with a single, echoing mantra. Please let this end. Eventually, it does. You finish, wipe with an old linen scrap you were saving for polishing your sword, and stagger away like a man who's seen war. At least now you've earned your rest. Right, wrong. The camp is already bustling. Fires are being lit. Tents, if you're lucky enough to sleep under one, are being pitched in uneven rows. The cooks are boiling something vaguely edible. Your commander is barking orders, his voice as hoarse as your mood. You catch pieces of it. Guard duty, first rotation, no exceptions. You close your eyes. Please no, you open them. Your name has been called, guard duty, first rotation. You want to cry. Instead, you collect yourself. Find your post near the outer edge of the camp, next to a thicket of brambles, and, unfortunately, another trench someone dug too close to the firewood pile. The stink hits you before the chill does. Your guts rumble again. Not now, you whisper, but your body doesn't listen. There's something uniquely terrible about standing guard with diarrhea. You're supposed to be alert, vigilant, ready to raise the alarm at any sign of enemy movement. But you're too busy scanning for places to squat anywhere private, anywhere new. Your legs ache. Your stomach trembles like a leaf. And to make matters worse, you're not alone. Your partner for this shift is Raoul, a brick of a man with breath like boiled onions and no sense of boundaries. He keeps talking about his mother, his childhood goat, a time he wrestled a bear. You nod when appropriate, hoping he doesn't notice your occasional lean against a spear to keep yourself upright. Ever eat roasted eel from the river? He asks suddenly. You nearly vomit. The breeze shifts. Raoul pauses, sniffs, looks at you sideways. You pretend not to notice. But you do notice that the stars are brighter here. You notice the crackle of fire, the soft murmurs of men trying to sleep, the faraway howl of something wild. You notice the simple, strange beauty of being alive in this grotesque, uncomfortable, utterly medieval moment. You just wish your intestines would join you in appreciating it. After an hour, Raoul starts snoring while standing. You let him know. One's attacking tonight. No one would be foolish enough to charge a camp full of exhausted, half-sick soldiers. Right, actually, historians still argue whether night raids were common. Some say it was too dangerous, too easy to kill your own in the dark. Others believe that chaos was the whole point. And anyway, if someone did attack tonight, it's not like you could run. Not in your condition. You'd just have to defend yourself with clenched cheeks and sheer desperation. Eventually, your shift ends. You shuffle back to your patch of earth, barely more than a spot near a tree root. There's no bedroll, just a cloak, a damp one, and your sword resting across your lap. You sit down slowly, gingerly, like every joint in your body might betray you. You try to sleep, but your belly has other plans, so you lie there, listening to your own gut gurgle like a cursed cauldron, trying to remember why you joined this campaign in the first place. Was it for money, glory, to escape your boring life in the village? Whatever the reason, you're starting to think you chose poorly. You don't wake up so much as give up on sleeping. It's not even dawn yet, but the sky is beginning to lighten in that pale, hopeless way that means soon you'll be expected to be vertical again. Birds chirp cheerfully overhead mocking you, and your stomach, which had briefly gone quiet, chooses this exact moment to unleash a long, low groan that feels like it's echoing off your bones. Great, another day. You sit up, carefully. Every movement is delicate, like you're handling an explosive, which, to be fair, you are. The fire's gone out, your cloak is damp with dew, and a slug has taken up residence in your boot. You flick it away and pray it didn't leave behind a trail. Not that it would be the most disgusting thing in your footwear at this point. You shuffle toward the mess line. There is no mess hall in a medieval army, just a few campfires and one battered iron pot suspended over each, bubbling with something that technically qualifies as food. This morning's breakfast appears to be barley porridge with mystery bits. One of those bits just twitched. You decline, but you drink water. You have two. Your lips are cracked, your throat dry, and though your brain is screaming, don't trust the stream again, you do anyway. You tell yourself the fire boiled it enough. Probably, maybe, hopefully, historians still debate whether boiling water was common knowledge or just something practiced by monks and the very desperate, judging by how many of your comrades also look pale and hollow-eyed this morning. It's clear nobody's boiling anything. Then the order comes. Gear up. Your stomach drops figuratively and within moments, literally. Because gearing up means one thing, armor. And if you thought having diarrhea in wool leggings was bad, wait until you try it in CHAINMAIL.C. Armor isn't just heavy, it's clingy. Medieval chainmail hugs the body like an aggressive metal blanket. It's itchy, it's hot, and worst of all, it's almost impossible to get off quickly, which is a problem for someone in your condition. You slip the padded gambeson over your shirt, already damp with sweat despite the morning chill. Then comes the mail hauberk. It's heavy, even heavier than you remember, pressing down on your shoulders like the judgment of 10 angry bishops. You fasten the belt, adjust your dagger, pull on your gloves, and immediately regret all of it. The pressure on your stomach is unbearable. It's like wrapping your middle with hot rocks and then daring yourself not to flinch. You try to stand tall, you fail. You look like a hunchback in training, but you're not alone. As your unit assembles, you catch sight of others doing the same awkward stance. You meet eyes with a grizzled veteran. He nods almost respectfully. You understand each other now. You are brothers in intestinal misery. And then come the drums, low and slow at first, thudding through the chill air like a heartbeat. Your commander shouts something unintelligible. Everyone groans. You begin marching again. You've lost count of how many days this campaign has gone. On, the road stretches before you endlessly. You pass through scorched fields, empty villages, woods that smell like rot and wet leaves. Somewhere far off, a hawk screeches. Closer by, someone vomits. You keep going, and then, midday, the worst possible thing happens. You're ambushed, not by enemies, not yet, by your own body. You try to hold it. You try so hard. You clench. You pray. You curse. You even consider trying to talk to your stomach like it's a wild animal. Just hold on a bit longer, please. But it's too late. Right there, in the middle of the line, your bowels rebel. There's no time to hide, no bushes nearby, no cover at all. The noise is immediate, wet, loud. Someone gasps. Someone else says, "Oh, not again." You stop walking. Everyone else does too. And in that moment, in the middle of a dusty medieval road, you face the full fury of being human. Not heroic, not glorious, just disgustingly mortal. Your commander doesn't even yell. He just sighs and motions for the line to keep moving. You step off to the side. The humiliation is complete. You don't even bother pretending to clean up. You just crouch in the grass, head bowed, waiting for it to be over. That's when the enemy actually shows up. An arrow lands 6 feet from your head. You look up to see distant shapes forming at the edge of the woods. Men, horses, spears, glinting in the sun. And you're crouched in your own mess, pants down, armor tangled around your knees. Perfect. You scramble, you fall. You scramble again. You half run, half waddle back toward the main group, shouting incoherently. No one listens. They've already seen the arrows battle begins. And here you are, not only unarmed, but in the worst state possible to do anything about it. You try to grab your weapon. You try to fasten your belt. You try not to trip over your own leggings. You succeed at none of it, but you do manage to scream something vaguely important. They're here. Someone hears. Your commander signals for a formation. The men around you bristle to life. Shields are raised, spears angled. You are told to get in line now, so you do. You stand there smelling like defeat, quivering like pudding, your blade trembling in your hand as the enemy approaches, and all you can think is, please don't let them hit me in the stomach. The enemy charges, hooves pounding, spears glinting, arrows whistling overhead like furious bees, and you standing in a half squat, thighs trembling, chainmail biting into your hips, praying to every saint you can remember that you don't accidentally collapse, or worse, leak. Again, in front of literally everyone. The formation holds, barely. Shields clash. Men grunt and scream. The front line absorbs the brunt of the impact, and you, being several ranks back, don't immediately die. Small mercies. Instead, you get jostled forward, tripping on the uneven earth, shoulder-checking the poor guy next to you. He curses. You apologize. Then an arrow thuds into the ground between you, and both of you shut up. Your bowels twist again. Of course, now here's the thing. Battle adrenaline is real. In that moment of terror, something strange happens. You stop thinking about your stomach. You forget the dampness, the chafing, the godforsaken squelch in your boots. All you know is that someone's trying to kill you, and your best shot at survival is to focus, breathe, and hold the line. Historians still argue whether rank-and-file soldiers, like you, actually knew what was going on in these chaotic clashes. Some say the fog of war was so thick, most soldiers just followed the man in front of them. Others think commanders barked instructions clearly enough to organize responses. You wouldn't know. You're too busy trying not to die, or worse, pass gas while lunging. Your spear finds something solid. A clang, a grunt, then the chaos moves past you. For a moment, the line is holding. The enemy retreats slightly, regrouping for another push. You look around. A few men are bleeding. One is crying. Another is just gone. You glance down. Yep, you're bleeding too. Just not from any honorable spot. As the next wave crashes forward, a soldier stumbles into you. He's heavy. His armor hits your gut like a battering ram. You yelp. It's high-pitched, undignified, but it's better than what almost escaped the other end. You fall again, this time face first into the dirt. And yes, you're already soiled under layers, just made full contact with the earth. Lovely, somewhere above. Someone shouts your name. It's Giselle. You freeze. She's yelling for you to stand. You want to impress her. You want to be brave. You want to be that guy who charges forward in glory. But you're that guy who's lying in the mud. Cheeks clenched, armor rusting from its own humidity. So you do the only thing you can. You pretend you've been strategically knocked down. You roll with it, literally. You shift toward the edge of the skirmish, out of sight, coughing loudly as if that explains your sudden disappearance from combat. And then you crawl. Heroically, maybe. You reach a tree line. You sit, and finally, blessedly, you release again. It's not even dramatic anymore. Just sad, quiet, defeated. You sit there, panting, armor twisted, breeches ruined, feeling like the opposite of a hero. But at least you're not dead. From your hiding place, you hear the clash continue, the chaos, the screaming, the unmistakable ring of steel on steel, and the smell, oh God, the smell. It's following you like a loyal dog. Or maybe it's just your boots. You wonder if you'll be court-martialed for abandoning the line. Then you remember, you're a peasant. There is no court, just flogging, or more likely, they just forget you exist. You hope for the latter. Eventually, the noise dies down. You creep back, half expecting to be berated or beaten. But no one seems to notice or care. The enemy has withdrawn, for now. The survivors are limping back to camp, some missing helmets, others missing teeth. A few are being carried. Giselle is there, helping tend wounds. She doesn't look at you. Probably for the best. You find a spot to sit, not near anyone, and take stock. Your mail is bent. Your spear is missing. Your dignity, non-existent. But you're alive. You even sip from your water again, because what's the point of caution now? You glance around. Others are suffering too. One man's leggings are completely torn. Another has thrown up twice in the last 10 minutes. You hear someone mutter, "It's the barley. I told them not to use barley." Another responds, "It's the fish. It was looking at me." And someone, somewhere, has lit a tiny bundle of sage and is waving it near the tents like a holy exorcism. Medicinal burning was, in fact, a real practice. Herbs like sage, rosemary, or even dried dung would burn to cleanse the air. Some believed the smoke repelled sickness. Others just used it to mask the stench. Right now, you'd welcome anything. A priest walks past, muttering a prayer. He doesn't even glance at you. You must look too far gone. You close your eyes, breathe shallowly, try to forget the sticky, itchy, thoroughly depressing reality of your lower half. You think of your village, your mother's soup, a cool river you used to swim in as a child, the kind with water you didn't drink, and then you remember you've still got night duty, again, because of course you do. You thought the daytime was bad, but marching at night with diarrhea, that's a whole new level of misery. It's like your intestines made a pact with the moon to betray you in darkness. The air is damp and cold, but your skin is sticky and hot. Your clothes cling to you like wet parchment. Your feet feel like loaves of bread someone left out in the rain, and every step squishes in your boots. You try not to think about why your unit has been ordered to move after nightfall. Something about avoiding enemy scouts, or maybe just a cruel joke from the commander. Either way, you're on the road again, shoulder to shoulder with 100 other soldiers, most of whom are equally miserable. The line moves slowly, more a slog than a march. Each step forward feels like a mistake. Your stomach is quieter now, but that's not comforting. It's ominous. It's the kind of quiet that says, "I'm waiting." A false calm before the storm, and then you feel it. A sudden shift, the tightening, the twinge, the unmistakable pressure building from somewhere unmentionable. You panic again. How many times can one person panic in a week? You're about to find out. You raise your hand. Permission to. The sergeant silences you with a glare. No words, just a slow, exasperated shake of his head, as if to say, "I swear, if you stop this line one more time." So you trudge on. Each step is a gamble, a test of your bodies. Failing boundaries, the mud beneath your feet doesn't help, slippery and uneven. You almost fall. Twice the second time, the man behind you mutters, "If you're going to drop, at least do it forward." You don't respond. You can't. You're too focused on not becoming a human fountain. Historians still argue whether medieval forced marches were this brutal or exaggerated in later retellings. Some say armies moved at a steady, manageable pace with regular rest stops. Others insist that when orders came down, you marched until your legs buckled and then you crawled. You believe the second theory completely. Somewhere ahead, a torch sputters out. The darkness deepens. The line halts. You take the opportunity. You duck sideways into the underbrush, ignoring the curses, ignoring the branches slapping your face, ignoring the pain in your gut. You find a tree. You crouch. It's too late again, but at least, this time, there are no witnesses. You sit there for a while, staring into the night, questioning every decision you've ever made. Why did you volunteer? Why didn't you fake illness back at the village? Why, oh why, did you drink that river water? The forest is quiet, too quiet, which is, of course, the moment a twig snaps behind you. You freeze, you clench, you reach for your dagger knot out of bravery. But because if it's a wolf, you'd prefer to go down fighting rather than be found half naked and half sick under a bush. It's not a wolf, it's Arno. He's from your unit, about your age. Looks equally miserable. He doesn't speak. He just raises a hand in silent salute, crouches nearby, and proceeds to loudly join your suffering. You're bonded now, in the worst way possible. You both finish. You both return to the road, silent, changed, to ghosts in armor. Back in line, no one asks where you've been. No one wants to know. There's an unspoken rule. What happens off the road, behind the bushes, stays there, but your sergeant does. Glare at you, your mouth sorry. He sighs. You march on, the hours blur, the stars shift overhead, your feet ache, your calves cramp, you're beyond tired, beyond pain. You feel like a walking husk, held together by guilt, stale bread, and whatever fragile dignity remains. And then you reach the camp. Well, what passes for camp? It's just a clearing. No tents, no fires. Too risky, the officer says. You're too close to enemy territory, so you lie on a patch of moss. Armor still on, knees curled slightly to ease the pressure in your gut. You pull your damp cloak over your shoulders, and you shiver, not from cold, exactly, from exhaustion, from hunger, from everything. Somewhere nearby, Arno is softly humming to himself. A lullaby, maybe, or a hymn, you can't tell. It's oddly soothing. You drift for a while half asleep, half conscious. Then the dreams start. You're in your village, standing outside your cottage. Your mother calls you in for dinner. There's bread, roasted onions, something warm and comforting. You sit, you eat, you feel good. Then someone pours a bucket of sewage onto your plate. You wake up gagging, and your stomach, still angry, still plotting, still medieval. Morning arrives not with a sunrise, but with a trumpet blast. It's less a musical signal and more an aggressive reminder that rest is over. You groan, roll over, and immediately regret it. Your back aches, your legs are stiff, and your guts swell. They're staging a full-blown insurrection. You sit up slowly, like an ancient tree creaking under its own weight. Your cloak is damp again, your breeches crusty. You don't want to check the damage. You just know, somewhere in the middle of the night, your stomach lost another battle. You shift and wince. Everything itches and smells. Welcome to day 4 of the worst campaign of your life. Your commander is already shouting orders. No one listens. Not until the sergeant repeats them with threats and a very large stick. You force yourself to your feet, knees trembling under the weight of chainmail, shame and malnourishment. There's no time for breakfast, no water, just another forced march. Another aimless trudge across endless hills. You still have no idea where you're going, or why. Just that it's somewhere far and important, and apparently worth the dysentery dot. Your stomach disagrees. About half an hour in the cramps return. You're starting to recognize them like old friends each. Twist and stab has its own personality. This one is deep, curling, almost lazy, like it knows you can't do anything about it. And worst of all, you're stuck in full formation again. There's no bush to dart behind, no tree to hide under. You're boxed in, surrounded by other exhausted, sick, equally miserable men. You try to hold your posture, but your hips are subtly rocking, trying to ease the pressure. Someone notices. Again, it's Raoul. Of course, it's Raoul. You don't respond. He snorts. Drink less river next time. You want to punch him, or cry, or both, instead. You focus on your feet. Step, clench, repeat. This is your life. Now, historians still argue whether diarrhea was the leading cause of non-combat casualties in medieval campaigns. Some point to starvation or frostbite. Others, however, have uncovered entire sections of army ledgers dedicated to the treatment of flux, camp sickness, or, more bluntly, the belly curse. Entire barrels of wine laced with spices were hauled along just to try and curb it. It didn't work. You pass by one such barrel now. The quartermaster ladles out a small cup for you. He doesn't ask questions anymore. It's a bitter, sharp liquid that stings your throat and makes your eyes water. Spiced wine with something gritty floating in it. You drink it anyway. Maybe it'll buy you an hour. It buys you 15 minutes. You break from the line again. This time no one even comments. You've become a known variable, a constant, like mud or lice, or the smell of wet feet. You are part of the ecosystem now, and when you crouch by the roadside, your 7th time this campaign, you realize something's changed. You no longer feel shame, you just feel tired, the kind of tired that sinks into your bones and makes you forget what it was like to feel normal. You can't even remember what a clean pair of breeches feels like, or how it feels to walk without clenching, or to eat without fear. And yet, you return to the line, because what else can you do? You rejoin the march, a little lighter in every sense. The sun climbs, the bugs come out, horseflies, mosquitoes, that one kind of beetle that always finds your ear. You sweat, you itch, you want to lie down and never get up again. But then you see something, ahead smoke, not from a fire, from chimneys, a village. The first in days, there's a murmur in the ranks. Relief, hope, maybe food, maybe a bed, maybe, just maybe, latrines, actual wooden boxes. With lids, you can't help but smile. It's a poor village. Half the roofs are sagging, the fields are bare. But to you, it's paradise. You march faster, so do the others. It's like the promise of even the tiniest comfort has reawakened something long dormant. You're assigned quarters in a barn, straw, rats, drafty walls. You weep with gratitude. You strip off your armor, every piece slapping to the ground with a wet clunk. You remove your tunic, your boots, your ruined breeches. You hang them over a broken beam, hoping they dry. Spoiler, they won't. Then, miracle of miracles, you find a bucket, not clean, not empty, but available. You splash water on your face, your chest, your legs. You rinse what you can, scrub with hay. It's not a bath, it's barely hygiene, but it's something. For 5 blessed minutes, you feel human again. And then someone kicks the barn door open and yells, "We march again at sunset." You nearly pass out, but at least you're cleanish. For now, you don't know what hurts more, your legs or your soul. Sunset comes too quickly. You're still damp. Your breeches are still soaked. Your stomach, somehow, still isn't empty. And now you're being told to saddle up for another overnight march. You pull on your gear like a condemned man dressing. For his execution, the gambeson goes on first, heavy, damp, stiff with dried sweat and other, less mentionable things. Then the hauberk cold chainmail that sticks to your back like a vengeful spirit. Your boots feel like wet leather sacks filled with gravel. You sigh loudly. Someone nearby groans in agreement. Misery, at least, has company. The village gave you no food. The locals are starving too. You were allowed to refill your water skin, but even that tastes faintly of moldy wood and turnips. Still, you drink it, because thirst is worse. And so, under the fading glow of an exhausted sun, you begin again. This time, the road is narrow and winding, forest on both sides. A perfect place for an ambush, someone mutters. Another says nothing, just pulls there. Cloak tighter. You'd like to care, but right now, your biggest threat isn't bandits. It's the increasingly volatile condition in your lower abdomen. The march begins quietly, too quietly. There's no banter, no songs, no whistling. Even Raoul is silent, which is frankly alarming. The men are too far gone for cheer. They're hollow-eyed, sunburned, and perpetually damp, and many just like you are walking time bombs. The ranks are looser tonight. Darkness makes it hard to keep order. The sergeant doesn't even bother to keep you all in a clean line. You drift like ghosts along the road, each man lost in his own little world of pain, hunger, and dread. And then, a miracle, a rest break. 15 whole minutes, you collapse beside a log and try to stretch your legs. Bad idea, your thighs seize, your back spasms, and your stomach, not wanting to be left out, lets out a deep, gurgling protest that makes the man next to you scoot away an entire foot without saying a word. You need to go, again. But there's no time. The sergeant barks orders. You're moving out. You barely manage to get your cloak back on before the line begins to shuffle forward once more. You clench, you pray, you repeat the words, not here, not now, like a monk reciting penance. You fail about 20 minutes. Into the next stretch, your body makes a decision for you. No warning this time, just sudden, undeniable surrender. It happens so fast, you don't even get to step off the road. You just stop, brace yourself against a tree, and let reality take its course. There's no dignity, no grace, just a soldier in the dark, whispering apologies to no one in particular. You don't even clean up. What's the point? Your underclothes were ruined 3 days ago. Your leggings are beyond redemption. You've begun to suspect your armor is developing a personality of its own and it hates you. You catch up with the line again, silent and defeated. No one mentions it, not even Raoul. That's when you notice something. The smell, it's not just you, it's everyone. The whole march smells like a poorly maintained stable crossed with a stew gone horribly wrong. Men around you are pale, sweating, shifting uncomfortably in their armor. Someone stumbles. Another quietly steps off into the brush. Not returning, it's spreading. Not just inconvenience anymore, this is illness. One man is carried by 2 others. You hear him mutter nonsense. His eyes are glassy. Someone whispers, lost too much water. Another says, saw this back at Maulders Hill, 20 men down before sunrise. You keep walking, because that's all you can do. Historians still argue how medieval commanders handled widespread sickness in their ranks. Some say they stopped and let the men recover. Others claim they just pushed through, hoping enough would survive to fight. Judging by the current pace and the sheer number of miserable groans, your commander is clearly of the push-through variety. The road forks. You had left into thicker forest. It starts to rain, because of course it does. A slow, misty drizzle. At first, then heavier. Your cloak offers no protection, it's soaked through in minutes. Your armor begins to rust while you're wearing it. Your skin itches, your boots squish, and you're convinced you now weigh twice as much as you did this morning. Your stomach groans again. You pretend not to hear it. You're too tired, too wet, too broken. Somewhere behind you, A man collapses. No one stops. Not even the sergeant. He just shouts, "Leave him," and keeps moving. You whisper, "I'm sorry," and keep walking, till eventually you reach a clearing, a new camp, no tents this time, just wet grass and scattered bedrolls. You fall to your knees. You don't even remember doing it. Your hands are trembling. Your jaw aches from clenching all day. You want to cry, but don't have the moisture left in your body to spare. Someone offers you a crust of bread. You try to eat it. You can't. Your stomach threatens to rebel again at the mere suggestion of food. So you give it to Arno, who eats it without comment, chewing slowly like it's gold. You lie down, curl into a ball, and close your eyes. The wind picks up. You shiver, and you wonder briefly, just briefly, if dying wouldn't be slightly less inconvenient than all this. When you open your eyes, it's still dark. Or maybe it's early morning. Or maybe it's still the middle of the night. Time is a blur. Now a smudged line drawn through hunger, wet chainmail, and bowel cramps. The grass beneath you is soaked. You're soaked. Your cloak offers no warmth. It just holds the rain against your skin like a soggy, judgmental towel. You try to sit up. Your body protests. Every muscle creaks. Your stomach churns. You feel lightheaded, like you could float away if not for the unbearable weight of your armor and the unfortunate ballast sloshing in your gut. You look around. The camp is quiet. Most men are lying flat, whether asleep, unconscious, or dead. You're no longer sure. A few are coughing. One is vomiting into a puddle. A priest is murmuring prayers near a shivering figure wrapped in burlap. You close your eyes again. Maybe, if you sleep just a little longer, you'll wake up in a warm bed. Maybe the campaign will have been a dream. Maybe your breeches will be dry. They are not. Instead, a boot nudges your ribs. You groan. The sergeant's voice grates above you. On your feet, patrol duty. Now, you think about saying no, but you don't, because you don't want to see what happens to the ones who refuse. You rise, slowly, like a man rising from his grave. Your armor clinks. Your stomach lurches. You almost lose your balance, but you catch yourself on a broken fence post. The sergeant's already walking away. No time to clean up. No time to think. You just go. You're paired with a man named Banut. He's tall, silent, smells like cabbage and regret. Doesn't say a word as you begin your slow circuit of the woods beyond the clearing. The patrol is simple. Walk the perimeter. Look for signs of the enemy. Don't pass out. Sounds easy until your stomach gurgles again. You ignore it. You've learned not to react. Banut steps on a twig. You both freeze. He squints into the trees. You do too, though mostly to keep from doubling over. After a moment, he moves on. You follow. The forest is thick here. Damp moss underfoot. Ferns brushing your knees. You pass a small stream, the one you filled your flask from earlier. You resist the urge to glare at it. That stream is the source of half your suffering. You stumble on a root. Fall to one knee. Banut pauses, offers no help, just waits. You nod. Fine. You croak, but you're not. You know it. He knows it. Even the ferns probably know it. You trudge on, historians still debate whether patrol duty was rotated fairly among soldiers, or whether the sick and expendable were quietly assigned the riskiest routes. Based on your current assignment, tired, dehydrated, half delirious, you're pretty sure you've been volunteered as a walking sacrifice. The underbrush thickens. You need to go. Again you try to hold it. You don't succeed. You slow your steps. Let Banut move a few paces ahead. Then you step off the path, behind a tree, and let gravity win. Your breeches are already ruined. What's one more humiliation? You clean yourself with a wet leaf. You think it was a leaf. You really hope it was a leaf. You catch up with Banut. He doesn't ask. He doesn't look. You love him for that. Your legs shake the rest of the patrol. You think your fever's back. The world sways around you like you're walking through a painting, blurry edges, shifting colors. The only thing sharp is the pain in your stomach and the chafe of your inner thighs. When you finally return to camp, it's already buzzing, not with activity with flies. They're everywhere, around the latrine pit, around the tents, around the cooking fires, though no one's cooking. No one's well enough to cook, or eat, or care. Raoul is sitting near the fire pit, swatting lazily at a swarm. "We're all soup," he mumbles when you pass. You nod. You lie down on your back, stare up at the grey sky, and start counting how many different kinds of pain you can feel at once. 12, you think. Maybe 13. Then the priest approaches. He kneels beside a young recruit. The boy is shaking. Pale, his lips are dry. The priest lifts a small cup to his mouth. The boy turns away. Moments later, he goes still. You blink. That was the third today. Someone begins digging a shallow grave with a spade. The priest keeps murmuring prayers that sound more like sighs. A cart in the distance is already half full with bodies, their faces covered with burlap or nothing at all. You think you see Arno lying nearby. You want to ask if he's okay, but you're too tired to speak. A medic walks past with a satchel full of herbs. He stops, looks at you, narrows his eyes. You have the belly fever. You nod. He tosses a small pouch into your lap. Charcoal, he says. Chew it, might help. Or not. You chew. It tastes like burned wood and despair, but you chew anyway, because hope is the only thing you haven't vomited out yet by midday. The sun finally appears, weak, pale, and unhelpful. It shines down on the camp like it's inspecting. Damage, the muddy ground, the limping soldiers, the stinking latrine pit buzzing with flies the size of walnuts. It glints off battered helmets and crusted armor. It sparkles ironically off the edge of your rusted sword, which hasn't been drawn in 3 days. You're not sure you remember how to use it. Frankly, at this point, you could lose a duel to a well-organized goose. You lie on your side, under what little shade a broken cart offers. You've stopped trying to sit upright. Your limbs won't obey. Your stomach is quieter, now not peaceful, just hollow, like it's too exhausted to rebel anymore. That's somehow worse. Nearby, someone mutters. They're talking about moving camp again. You groan. Someone else mutters, better than staying here. This place is cursed. You agree, silently. Nothing good has happened in this field. Only stomach cramps, soaked boots, and dreams of proper toilets. And then, suddenly, the camp erupts. Not in panic, but in movement. Orders are being shouted. Sergeants run from group to group. The priest is told to pack up his altar. Even the cook who hasn't cooked in days, stuffing sacks with dried beans. No one can digest. You squint, and then you see it. A banner, not yours. The enemy. A small scout party. Barely a dozen men, spotted not far off. Which means your company has to move fast, before scouts become raiders, and raiders become swords in your gut. So here we go again. You rise. Not heroically, more like a puppet being yanked upright by a distracted child. You fumble for your gear, your helmet, your water flask, your knees buckle. You catch yourself on the cart. Someone hands you a stale biscuit. You chew, it tastes like sand, but at least it doesn't exit immediately. The march begins within the hour, but not on roads this time. You're told to go off path, through the woods, steeper, harder, safer, supposedly, and definitely harder on your insides. The trees close in, roots snag your boots, low branches slap your face. The underbrush tangles around your legs like it's trying to pull you down. Your sword hilt catches on a vine and almost yanks you off. Balance, you curse. Not out loud, just in your soul and your stomach. It's back. A sudden twisting, a sharp, evil clench. You stop mid-step, lean against a tree, and breathe like you're in labor. You glance around. Too many people nearby. No privacy. You hold it. You regret it. Again, you begin to sweat. Not because of the sun, because of your body rebelling. You start bargaining with it, like a gambler down to their last coin. Just make it to that rock. Okay, now to the next bend. Just 10 more steps. You're lying to yourself. You give up. You step off the path, behind. A bush dot out of sight, and let everything go. Again, you're beyond shame now. This is just maintenance. Like cleaning a weapon. Except this weapon is your digestive system, and it hates you. You finish. Wipe with a fern. You don't care anymore. You've started rating leaves by softness. That one was a 7. Could be worse. You return to the line. Someone offers you a chunk of cheese. You accept. Bad move. 10 minutes later, your stomach starts composing another rebellion. You do not win, but this time, you make it further from the group. This time, you have privacy. This time, you have poison ivy. You discover that slowly, later. As the rash spreads like wildfire, historians still argue how common plant-related injuries were among medieval soldiers. Most agree that few men knew what to avoid in unfamiliar woods. Some even theorize that more suffering came from bad foraging than from combat itself. You are now a walking data point for that theory. You itch, you sweat, you cramp, and the march continues. No one asks how you're doing. No one needs to. The answer is obvious from the vacant stare in your eyes and the awkward way your walking legs stiff, arms dangling like broken tools. At dusk, the company finally halts near a bend. In a shallow creek. It's not a camp so much as a pause. You collapse near a tree stump, not even sitting, just tipping sideways and letting gravity do the work. The priest passes by, whispering a blessing. You whisper one back mostly, just asking for dry socks. Raoul is nearby. He offers a small square of cloth. Found this, he says. Might help you take it. You have no idea what it is. You don't care. You use it. He doesn't watch. You love him for that. The light fades. Bugs emerge. The sky turns the color of old bruises. You listen to the creek bubbling nearby. It sounds clean, tempting. But you've learned your lesson. That water is the devil. In disguise. You sip the last inch of your wine, instead stale, warm, and slightly sour. It's the best thing you've tasted in days. Your stomach grumbles. You whisper to it. Not tonight, please. And for once, it listens. You wake up not to shouting, but to birdsong. It takes you a second to believe it's real. For the first time in days, no one is yelling at you. No boots kick your ribs. No sergeant stomps past demanding patrol logs. Just the soft, absurdly peaceful sound of chirping. Your body still hurts, of course, but lest you stretch slowly, cautiously, like testing old ropes for fraying. Your limbs respond, your back cracks, and your stomach is quiet. It's so strange, you sit up just to check. Still quiet, still, you glance around. The camp is calm. Men are still sleeping, some even snoring. The creek nearby babbles gently over stones. There's smoke from a small fire, not a panic blaze, just someone carefully heating broth. The medic is making rounds, and for once, no one is screaming in Latin. You shuffle over to a rock and sit down. For the first time in what feels like a lifetime, you're not immediately overwhelmed by cramps. No cold sweat, no desperate need to find a bush. You actually feel hungry. You cautiously nibble a crust of bread. It stays down, victory. Later that morning, the commander calls a halt, not for battle, not for retreat, but to rest. An actual day of rest. The scouts confirm the enemy is days away. You're allowed to clean your gear, mend your socks, and believably boil water, clean water. You don't cry, not exactly, but your throat gets tight when you see the copper. Pot steaming. One soldier adds herbs, another drops in charcoal. Someone finds a lemon. It smells like salvation. You take a sip. It's sharp, bitter, but clean. You feel like a new man, or at least a slightly less cursed one. Historians often disagree about how disciplined medieval commanders were when it came to hygiene. Some records describe entire days set aside for washing, scrubbing, and mending. Others claim campaigns pushed men to death without pause. Today, at least, your commander seems merciful. You hang your gear too dry, scrub what remains of your breeches. In the creek, Arno offers you a fresh scrap of linen, found it behind the quartermaster's tent. He grins. You don't ask what it used to be. You don't care. By evening, your gut still hasn't revolted. The camp feels almost festive. Someone finds a lute. Someone else sings. Badly, you laugh. Badly. Raoul passes around a flask. You sip once and hand it back. He raises an eyebrow. You're learning, he says. And you are. You're learning how to survive this. You've never felt so grateful for small things. Dry boots, warm broth, the absence of urgent bowel distress. These are now luxuries, beyond price. And for once, the mood in camp reflects that. Men are patching tunics, washing their hair. One even found soap, though it smells like spoiled garlic. You scrub your fingernails with a rock and feel almost noble doing it. The medic gives you a leaf. Infusion. You sip it. Bitter, earthy, supposed to strengthen your stomach. You'd drink molten lead at this point if it promised stability. And guess what? It helps later. You're told to report for watch duty. Normally, you'd groan, but tonight, you rise easily. Your legs work again. Your head is clear. Your armor doesn't squeak ominously when you move. You take your spear, strap on your belt, and join the watch at the tree line. The stars are out. You haven't seen stars in days. Too much fog, too much smoke. But now they shimmer overhead, like a quiet reward. You lean on your spear and just breathe, and for the first time this entire campaign, you feel human. Benut stands nearby. He doesn't talk, just nods. That's enough. Arno hums a tune softly behind you, and you recognize it. The same lullaby he sang that night you nearly passed out beside the cart. You close your eyes and let the breeze brush your face. A fox trots past, you let it go. Historians still debate how often moments like this occurred, more beautiful pauses amid the chaos. Some say soldiers lived in constant suffering. Others believe even in misery there were pockets of peace. Tonight you believe the second, because your gut is still, your limbs are steady, and for the first time in days, your soul doesn't feel like it's leaking out through your boots. The next morning, you wake up dry, not soaked in sweat, not lying in your own regret. Dry, your cloak held off the dew, your breeches cling without complaint. You sit up and stretch. No cramps, no dizziness, just the faint soreness of someone recovering. The commander announces a change of course. You're heading back toward the rear lines to resupply. No more chasing scouts through marshland. No more cursed forests. Just slow, steady movement toward bread and bandages. You could kiss him. You don't, of course. That would be weird. And probably not allowed. Instead, you pack your kit. You help Arno roll his blanket. You share what's left of your cheese with Banut, who surprises you by smiling. Kind of, you marched, and this time, you don't feel like you're dragging death behind you. You breathe evenly. You spot birds overhead. You even start humming. Raoul throws a stick at you, but it's half-hearted. He's humming to dot the trail. Leads you through rolling hills, golden with late summer grass. Farmers wave as you pass. A girl throws a flower. It lands near your foot. You pick it up. You don't know what kind it is, but you tuck it into your belt anyway. By evening, the camp is set beside an old Roman well. The water is cold, clear, blessedly clean. You wash your hands in it, then your face, then daring greatly, you drink, and nothing bad happens. You laugh out loud. It startles a nearby horse. You don't care. You're alive. You're healing. And for the first time, you believe you might actually make it. Days pass. Marching becomes easier. You eat more, sleep deeper. You can even go to the bathroom without an existential crisis. The others improve too. Less coughing, less stumbling, more laughter. Someone carves dice out of bone and starts a game. Near the fire, you win twice. Arno grumbles. Banut accuses you of cheating with a wink. You joke back. You haven't joked in a week. Even the sergeant seems calmer. He actually says, "Well done," when you finish your patrol. You nearly faint. Reach a small town near the river. The locals greet you with stew, bread, a whole roasted duck. You try not to cry into the gravy. They let you sleep in the grain barn. It smells sweet and dusty. You sink into the hay and drift instantly. In your dream, you're back in your village, sitting on a hillside. Your mother brings you a bowl of soup. You eat, you smile. The sun is warm. The breeze smells of apples. You wake up smiling. There's a letter in your hand. One of the scribes wrote it for you last night, while you dictated by the fire. It's addressed to your mother. You describe the sky, the smell of bread, the fact that you're getting better. Raoul reads it and scoffs. "Soft," he says. Then he writes one too. "The commander says you'll be stationed here for a month to recover and reinforce the outposts. No battles, no marches, just mending, resting, healing." You walk out into the sunlight, arms folded behind your head, breathing deep. You're not just surviving anymore. You're living again. You're sitting by the river, barefoot, feet in the water. The sun is setting pale orange, bleeding into soft pink. The air smells like hay and woods. The world is quiet, peaceful. You roll your shoulders. They ache, but in a satisfying way, a healed way. Your stomach hasn't made a single complaint all day. You've eaten bread, apples, and something called honey butter. You now believe in miracles. Behind you, the town hums. Horses clop down the dirt road. A blacksmith sings to his hammer. Children chase each other with sticks. Soldiers sit on crates, sharing stories, some even laughing at your old misfortunes. You let them. You're not ashamed anymore. You've endured. Historians may never know your name. You won't be remembered in chronicles or ballads, but you survived. Something that most men never talk about. You pushed through the worst days a soldier could face and came out the other side with your spirit intact. You smile, then you stand. Your gear is clean. Your pack is light. Your boots finally, blessedly, or dry. A message rider approaches. You're being reassigned to guard duty along the river. Easy work, warm cabins, clean food. You nod. You're ready. You toss a stone into the water and watch the ripples fade. And as the stars blink to life above you, you feel something new stir inside. Peace and pride, and finally, relief. The wind rustles gently through the trees, brushing your cheeks like the softest hands. Your armor is off now, folded neatly by your bedroll. The fire nearby crackles quietly, not for warmth, but for comfort. You lie back on a soft patch of grass, the sky above you awash with silver stars. No pain in your legs, no tightness in your stomach. No pressing weight on your chest, just the gentle rhythmic breath of your own body. Finally calm, the smells of the camp have changed. Longer, sharp or sour, but soft wood smoke, pine, a bit of honey from the tavern's hearth. You can still hear Arno humming somewhere in the dark. Maybe someone is boiling tea, maybe someone else is whispering a story, but you just rest. Your fingers feel clean. Your mouth tastes sweet. You've done the impossible. You endured not just war, but the quiet, slow misery of illness far from home, and you survived. You're stronger than you were, not because you fought, but because you endured, because you stayed, because you kept putting one tired, damp foot in front of the other, even when everything in you wanted to stop. And now you're here, still, quiet, breathing, but you single quotes, sleep well tonight, and tomorrow. Tomorrow you'll rise into the sun, stretch your arms, and step forward with the calm confidence of someone who has already walked through hell and come out the other side, smiling.